The players arrive at the other world. One player can be heard complaining about being dragged back into the other world again. Since they have arrived in a village area and not the forest this time, the players were curious about their location. They looked at their surroundings and noticed that the buildings of the village were destroyed. A player commented that it's not a village but ruins. One player noticed that the village is surrounded by fortress walls, and in the center of the village, there is a glowing purple crystal. They started wondering what the third round was going to be. Ryumin understood that it's an unfamiliar place and everyone looked anxious. He thought that at least Cho Jung-sik would be relatively normal. People also started noticing and whispering about Jung-sik. They talked about their region representative who has a nickname Life is a Documentary, who is also a gang boss. They recalled how he waved a dagger and threatened everyone in the region into voting for him. Another player boldly expressed that Black Scythe should have been the representative and not the murderer. The player beside him asked him not to be loud, cautioning that they might face consequences of authority of command if he heard them. The man didn't care enough because he thought there's nothing to fear when the authority of command can only be used 10 times. Life is a Documentary heard them, which made him scream and curse at them. Players asked why he was cursing and commented that he acted as if people didn't swear because they were unable to. This angered Life is a Documentary. He pointed to the crowd and screamed, asking for the bastard who kept running his mouth. The players acted like they didn't hear him. He's infuriated as the scenario he was expecting unfolded, all because the angel informed everyone about the authority of command. All of a sudden, a person came forward and greeted, "Life is a Documentary" with a bow. That person was Hwang Yong-min. Someone who knew him asked what he was doing. With enthusiasm, he addressed Life as a Documentary, but later on called him by his real name, Jung-sik of the Jung-sik gang. Jung-sik asked if he's part of the family. Yong-min answered that he's not part of it yet. He introduced himself as a young man in his 20s who hopes to become a gangster. Jung-sik uttered, "What?" The fact that a person wants to become a gangster was stuck in Jung-sik's mind, and he wondered what kind of insane bastard he is. Yong-min passionately told him that he idolized Jung-sik and he really wanted to join his gang. Jung-sik was about to ask him why, but he was cut off mid-sentence. When all of a sudden, Yong-min knelt to the ground and pledged that he will serve him for the rest of his life. He pleaded with him to take him under his wing. This made Jung-sik grin. In his mind, he thought he had already seen many kinds of lunatics, and yet it's his first time encountering one like that. He liked his spirit. Jung-sik instructed Yong-min to stand up, and he asked the kid if there's something wrong in his eyes and if he can't see his ruined reputation, yet he still wants to serve him. Yong-min passionately answered that he didn't care about that since he has deep respect for him. He promised that if he will be taken in, he won't care what other people will say about him. Jung-sik seemed to be pleased and decided that he will take responsibility for him and raise him. Yong-min eagerly bowed at him to show his appreciation and how honored he felt. People started gossiping about them. They couldn't believe that he just teamed up with Life as a Documentary. They consider him being insane. But you know what they say, birds of the same feather flock together. Ryumin blended into the crowd, observing. It was fortunate that Yong-min teamed up with Jung-sik, just as he had expected based on past occurrences. The angel appeared and confirmed if all humans had gathered. The angel scanned the crowd and commented how there are 90 less people present. The players were confused on what she meant by that. All of a sudden, a notification screen appeared. It contains the details of the third round. The main quest is to protect the relic for 3 hours. Their region only has 4,900 participants left, and only 1,225 can finish the quest. Now that they have confirmed that there are less people, they started wondering how it happened. The angel told them that there's no way that humans would just suddenly drop dead. It looks like humans fought each other in the real world. The angel even expressed that she will be worried sick on how humans fight each other. One player seemed distressed and encouraged everyone to look at the number of participants that could finish the round. They all became distressed and worried upon seeing it. The number of who can finish has been reduced to 1/4. The player reported to the angel about the possibility of an error in the system. The angel laughed when she heard that the humans thought it was an error. She told them that it's not an error. She told them that they looked flustered because there are less people who will be able to finish. She suggested to them that maybe they're forgetting something. She informed them that only half may survive each round, but everyone survived the last round. So, it just makes sense that only 1/4 would survive in the third round. The players wore a horrified expression. Before they could complain, the angel said that there's nothing unfair about it. She reminded them that all they have to do is work hard and be in the top 25%. With that, she proceeded in explaining the third round. She informed them that monsters from her army will appear from the castle gates every 30 minutes, and those monsters will target the relic in the center of the village. There will be a total of 4 waves, and everyone has to work together to protect the relic. The players will receive an additional reward if they protect the relic for 3 hours. However, if they are unable to protect it, they will receive a massive penalty. Finally, regardless of whether they have succeeded in protecting, each one of them will be ranked by the number of monsters they defeated. She set their expectations that many more monsters than usual could appear due to the nature of the round, but these monsters will be at 1/3 strength, which makes things easier. But that also means that gold and experience will be reduced to that amount. Jung-sik had a grin on his face when he thought that what he just needs to do is kill lots of monsters. He expected for the round to be easy, since he had the authority of command. The angel almost forgot another important thing. She asked if Life is a Documentary was the chosen representative last round. The angel explained that he can use his authority of command from then onward. But she knows everyone is curious about what will happen if he dies. She explained that if the representative dies from a monster of natural causes, the seat becomes empty. But she asked them, what if he gets killed by another player? The angel answered that if that were to happen, the killer is immediately made the region representative, and they receive full uses of authority of command. People started glaring at him, not hiding the evil intentions that they thought of. The angel clapped her hands and announced that the monsters would appear in 10 minutes. She advised them to work together for 3 hours and survive. She gave them a smile while saying, though I'm not sure if you'll be able to. Jung-sik cursed loudly, infuriated by the information revealed by the angel. He grits his teeth as he feels an ominous presence behind him. The players were prepared to attack him. He drew out his dagger and yelled for those bastards to come at him. He declared that he will take them on. The players appeared to be confident to fight him. One player told him that he's acting like he's strong when he can only use the authority command for 10 times. Another player confirmed, if he understood the angel right, that whoever kills the representative would be able to take his place. Another player suggested that it would be better if he's the representative. They stopped when they saw Black Scythe confidently approaching them. Jung-sik felt threatened and asked what Black Scythe plans to do. Black Scythe came closer to him and told him that he shouldn't be afraid, and he's only there to talk. Jung-sik denied that he's afraid. He told him to say what he came there to say. He tried to warn Black Scythe not to ask him to bow his head, but he was cut mid-sentence. Black Scythe told him that he had a suggestion. Black Scythe empathized with him, saying that he sees that he's in a difficult position right now. Looking seriously, he suggested that he will protect him. Jung-sik was baffled. So Black Scythe explained that he will protect him so that other players won't target him. Simply say he will take responsibility for him and escort him one-on-one. The players were confused about what they heard, and they realized that if they wanted to kill Jung-sik, they would have to face Black Scythe as well. The players were at a loss on what to do. Jung-sik realized that just the name Black Scythe would be revered. Because of the reactions of the players, he was tempted to accept the offer, but he knew there would always be a price to pay. He asked Black Scythe what he wanted in return. Black Scythe answered that it was nothing much, just for him to follow all his commands. That's the condition. Jungsik was surprised to hear that. He concluded that Black Scythe wants him to be his subordinate. Since he's doubtful, he asked for the reason on why Black Scythe is making the offer. Unfortunately for him, Black Scythe can't tell him. He clarified what type of commands Black Scythe would give, but Black Scythe couldn't tell him either. Instead, he made it clear that he needs Jungsik to follow the command unconditionally. That idea didn't sit well with Jungsik. He cursed him in his mind. But he started wondering, what if he said no? He also thinks that Black Scythe will attack him. Black Scythe urged him to choose and reminded him that other people are also waiting for his response. He seemed to have a hard time deciding, and then he expressed his rejection of the offer. Ramin expected this to happen since there's no way a bastard like him would let go of his pride that easily. The players mocked him for his decision. Had he accepted, he'd be able to hunt safely. Another player suggested that it could be because his pride was hurt when he was told to follow orders. They commented that his pride is more important than his life, or maybe they think lowly of the other players. Ryumin had observed that it's progressing exactly as it did in his previous life. He knew what exactly to do next, and that is to draw the line completely. Black Scythe accepted Jungsik's decision and declared that he won't pay attention anymore. He reiterated that whether he dies or not, it will be completely out of his business. The players seemed to be thrilled when they heard Black Scythe won't care anymore. They're elated at the thought that they can target the bastard as they please. Upon hearing that, Jungsik started wondering if he should have just accepted the offer. The notification window appeared to announce that Wave 1 will begin shortly. Another one showed up, which states that the players should be prepared for the appearance and disappearance of monsters and protect the relic. A follow-up window showed that in 30 minutes, regardless of how many monsters are taken care of, the Wave 2 will begin. Someone from the crowd encouraged everyone to protect the relic. The timer started. Jungsik understood that he can't fight together with those who are targeting him. He was left with no other option to do it alone. He noticed that Black Scythe was walking away from the crowd. He wondered where he's going. Black Scythe kept walking towards an empty alley. Jungsik followed him. He wondered if Black Scythe is planning to fight alone and if he's going to the entrance. Immediately, Wave 1 started. The doors are slowly opening. The window screen showed that there are 4,900 players and 9,800 weakened goblins. The vicious-looking goblins started crowding in the small opening of the door. Jungsik felt terrified when he found out the number of the monsters entering the village. The notification window showed that due to the nature of the round, the goblins are at a third of their usual strength. The last message says, "We wish you for your success." Jungsik thought it was crazy. He ran as he decided to hide and observe the situation. He entered a house and ascended the stairs. He wondered why Black Scythe wasn't moving. He theorizes that Black Scythe would fight the goblins alone at the entrance. He had observed that even if the entrance is narrow, it's wide enough for at least 10 people to go through. He wondered if Black Scythe is that confident to take on 10 goblins alone. He reached the top and opened a door. He watched Black Scythe wait for the incoming goblins. Jungsik thought that he's crazy. He assumes Black Scythe is bluffing just because his level is a bit high. He thought that it's useless for him to watch Black Scythe since Black Scythe will just fight for a bit and then run away later on. The fight between the goblins and Black Scythe had started. Black Scythe swung his scythe and sliced multiple goblins at once. His attention shifted to something. There were several goblins who leapt towards him. As a counterattack, he leapt and swiftly sliced them up with an incredible speed. Upon witnessing this, Jungsik realized that Black Scythe is really strong. He wondered if it's because he already reached level 16, that's why he gained that strength. He realized that it isn't the best time for him to be watching. He has decided to hurry and raise his level to become stronger. He turned to the other side of the village and expected the fight between the players and goblins to be intense. Players are gathered around the relic. They worked together to protect it. They communicated where to block and what entrance had been breached. Youngsik came out of hiding and decided to kill the goblins. He looked at goblins as a way to gain experience. He challenged the goblin, and it came straight to attack him. But before the goblin in front of him reached him, he felt something behind him. He hit it first, before it had a chance to harm him. He smiled proudly for what he has done. Because of the rune of detection, he knew their movement path in advance, so he thought things would be easy. All of a sudden, he saw a blade on his peripheral. He tried to evade it, but his ear got hit. He turned to see that it was an arrow. He kept looking on where it was fired since he hasn't seen a goblin that fires arrows. This made him angry. He looked for the bastard who fired it. He thought that even if he doesn't know who it is yet, if later he caught him, he vowed to end them. All of a sudden, a player stabbed him in his side. He groaned while the player was thrilled for landing a blow on him. This fueled his anger, and he gripped the end of the spear that penetrated his body. He pulled it so that the player holding it would come close to him as he prepared to stab the player with his dagger. And he stabbed right into the chest of the player. He pulled out his dagger and yelled, "Die, you son of a bitch!" Out of the blue, he saw an arrow pass through that made him stop moving. He turned to see where it was fired and saw the bastard. Since the archer is from a distance, Youngsik used the spear that was used to stab him. The archer prepared to release an arrow. But before he could fire his arrow, the spear had already penetrated his head and blood splattered, gushed out. Youngsik covered his wound with his hand. He realized that he had to be more worried about the players rather than the goblins. Because of that, he regretted being the region's representative. He cursed being a region representative, and if had a choice, he would gladly hand it to someone else. He started wondering if his decision not to accept Black Scythe's offer was wrong. But he stands by his principle, to have pride, and vowed that he will never be an underling. He walked around while thinking of a solution, a way to hunt without having to be wary of players. And he noticed a bastard aggressively killing a goblin. He was able to recognize him. It's the current region rank 3 called Black Dragon in my right arm. Youngsik grinned upon knowing that he's there. He approached him. Black Dragon in my right arm asked who he was. Youngsik pointed a dagger at him and commanded him to protect him. Meanwhile, a notification screen shows that the effect of Skeletal Necklace increases attack speed by 25%. Ryumin continues to slay all the goblins. Another notification screen shows that he has defeated the goblin. His current kill count is at 502 over 100. 3 buffs were applied. All stats increased by 100% due to the effect of Butcher Rune. He also received additional 3.33 gold. Ryumin checked his status window. He's almost close to his goal, which is 2,000 gold. He smiled, thinking about how easily he could collect 2,000 gold during the second wave. He had made up his mind to save more gold in the round and buy 2 common skills. His goal was to obtain the Heart's True Thoughts rune. As he was looking at the screen, the goblins sneaked behind him. He sensed it, and he slayed all the zombies. The other zombies stopped from attacking him. He asked them if they're not coming. So instead, Black Scythe rushed forward to attack them. Meanwhile, at the other side of the map, the players seemed to notice that there's something wrong. The zombies were glowing in yellow. A notification screen displayed that they have succeeded in blocking the first wave. The players rejoiced and let out a sigh of relief. The number of players that survive is 3,933, and the dead players are 967. As a reward, the surviving players have been given 500 gold. One player announced that he will rest before the next wave starts. With 967 that died, Ryumin thought that even if the goblins are weakened, they can't be ignored. Ryumin went around looking for someone, and he found him, Jung-sik. Ryumin expected that Jung-sik would have a hard time surviving the round. Jung-sik cursed. He's surrounded by players. The players are not killing the goblins instead. They are only after him. One player bravely attacked him, but that player was crushed by Black Dragon in my right arm. Jung-sik was thankful that he had those bastards to protect him because of the authority of command. Because of them, he managed to survive the first round. Youngmin asked if he's okay. Youngmin followed him even though he did not use command authority on him. Jung-sik's wound hurt, and he groaned in pain. He realized that he's bleeding heavily. He started to wonder if he'll be able to survive in his state. He grits his teeth, and had the resolve to tenaciously survive. He willed to survive the round to show off. Their attention shifted to the entrance. The second wave is about to start. 3,933 players versus 7,886 weakened goblins and hobgoblins. Due to the nature of the round, the goblins are at a third of their usual strength. The goblins started running towards Black Scythe. With a serious expression, he did not hesitate to slice the goblins with his scythe. He continued to attack multiple goblins at the same time. The bodies of the dead goblins are piling up on the ground. The notification screen shows that he has reached level 20. His rank has risen from apprentice to regular. He can now use the combination function. He wipes his sweat as he rejoices in reaching level 20. He's aware that he can now use the combination function to create unique items that can't be obtained in the store. Another window screen showed up. First is an announcement that because of his rank increase, the insignia of death has been strengthened. Second screen shows that the insignia of death increased from 100 to 120. Additionally, the Reaper exclusive skill Night of Death has been learned. Night of Death effect is that in a radius of 500 meters, darkness energy is cast, creating an artificial night. The next skill will be learned at level 40. Ryumin was happy about the additional damage from the insignia of death. He also liked the Night of Death since it synergizes well with the Reaper rune because it gets stronger at night. When Reaper rune is used during the day, weapon attack is doubled, and when used at night, attack speed is also increased by 50%. While staying still at night greatly reduces the chance of an enemy detecting the caster. Right after he finished checking the screen, the goblins came rushing to attack him. He welcomed them with a smile as he was eager to use his new skill. He activated a Night of Death and Darkness, made the goblins stop moving, and he slayed them all. He was not detected by the goblins as he continually slaughters them. The goblins didn't know what hit them until the scythe struck. After a series of quick attacks, his foot gracefully landed on the ground. The bodies of dead goblins piled up, creating a crowded scene on the ground. The screen appeared to inform the players that they have succeeded in blocking the second wave. There were 3,343 surviving players, while 590 players died. As a reward, the surviving players have been given 500 gold. Ryumin considered buying some common skills while resting. He opened the shop screen and searched for a particular common skill. He bought presence detection. With that skill, the player can identify all targets within a 30-kilometer radius. He used the skill and saw that it's only him and the goblin corpses. He thought of saving up another 20,000 gold. The third wave has begun. There are 3,343 players versus 6,686 weakened hobgoblins. The players continuously fought until the notification screen appeared again. They had successfully blocked the third wave. The fourth wave immediately began with 3,001 players versus 6,002 hobgoblins. Youngmin continued to fight with all his might. So are the other players. And then the screen appeared indicating that they had succeeded in blocking the fourth wave. Jung-sik looked exhausted. Just one more hour left. He knew that if he can last for an hour, he'll be able to live. He used up all his authority commands, but as long as he has those bastards protecting him, he will be safe. The fifth wave started. There are 2,700 players versus 10,800 Gnol. Jungsik was shocked to see 10,000, and he wondered why there were so many. Due to the nature of the Gnols are at a third of their strength. The players engaged in an intense fight with the Gnols. Jungsik took this as an opportunity to set a record. He vowed to get stronger, and when he does, he'll rip the throats of the people who look down on him. He was drawn to the groans of pain emanating from the injured people. He saw that the players whom he asked to protect him were being attacked by other players just to get to him. He pulled his guards in front of him and instructed them to block the attacking players. His guards were instantly killed. With most of his bodyguards dead, he felt cornered. He internally cursed that he's fucked, and he started running away. The players chased after him. He ran with all his strength while thinking that he just only needed to survive the wave. And then he reached the entrance where Black Scythe is waiting for the gnolls. He ran to Black Scythe and told him that he accepted his offer. He promised that he will do whatever he says just so he could earn his protection. He did not receive any response from Black Scythe. He screamed at him saying that he's accepting the offer, but Black Scythe cut him off mid-sentence with, "I reject." He reminded him that he already mentioned it earlier that he will no longer pay attention. Whether Jungsik lives or dies, he has to deal with it by himself. Jungsik insisted that he's going to become his underling. He couldn't understand why Black Scythe would refuse. Black Scythe answered that he doesn't need an underling who doesn't even have authority of command. Jungsik was infuriated when he got what he meant. That Black Scythe is saying that he has no use for him. He regretted not accepting the offer earlier. One player asked if they saw how Black Scythe rejected Jungsik's offer. Another player expressed how relieved he felt. He was worrying what they would do if Black Scythe agreed to protect Life is a documentary. Life is a documentary that is bleeding heavily. A player announced that they can now kill him to their heart's content. Jungsik announced that if he dies, he'll kill at least one of the players who ganged up on him. All of a sudden, Yongmin showed up. Yongmin asked if he's tired and told him that he would help him. Jungsik forgot about him. He grinned and promised him that if he gets out of this alive, he will take good care of him. Unexpectedly, Yongmin delivered a powerful punch to his face. Jungsik crashed into the ground because of that powerful blow. He rubbed his cheek and groaned in pain. Yongmin wore a devilish grin as he told Jungsik that he will kill him so that he can die comfortably. Jungsik was about to curse at him, but he was instantly grabbed by his shirt. Yongmin landed another punch at his face. With an intimidating presence, he continued to punch Jungsik. Before he landed the punch that could end Jungsik, he stopped his fist right in front of his face. His nose was profusely bleeding, and he couldn't open his one eye. His pride couldn't take that he's being betrayed. Yongmin ended him with a powerful kick. Notification window appeared to announce that the region representative Life is a Documentary has been murdered. The power of the representative is passed on to the murdered. Player Yongmin is hailed as the new region's representative. Yongmin celebrated his win. He has received the command of authority, and he thought about controlling Seo Ahrin as he pleased. He glanced at Life as a Documentary's body and, in his mind, vowed to put the command to good use. He added that all this happened because the boss of the gang kept running away. He smirked at him while marking him as an embarrassment. Yongmin addressed the players in the area to ask them if they saw him beating up Life as a Documentary and seek confirmation that there's a good chance of winning. The crowd couldn't seem to fully absorb the whole incident. They appeared to be scared of Yongmin. One player thought of how he killed a person with just bare hands. Some had goosebumps. A player asked what happened since they remembered Yongmin sucking up to the gangster. They wondered if he planned to betray him from the start. They expressed that they're scared, and they can't accept that such a person became a regional representative. Someone from the crowd announced that the region representative has changed. Yongmin smirked. He understood that the players are after him now. He thought that it was unfortunate, but he already has a solution to get out of the problem. He started running away. He went to BackOnce. BackOnce asked him what was wrong. Youngmin asked him if he saw the message and excitedly announced that he's the new region representative and he has the authority command. BackOnce responded, "So." Youngmin expressed that he will accept the offer that BackOnce gave to Life is a documentary. Simply put, he'll do everything he says in exchange for his protection. Youngmin was confident his idea will work, since the reason that Jungsik was rejected is because he didn't have the authority of command. But now that he's the new region representative and hasn't used the command yet, he thought that there's no way for BackOnce to reject him. BackOnce told him that he didn't like his attitude. Youngmin didn't understand what he meant. So, BackOnce told him that if he gets on his knees, he'll consider the offer. Youngmin insisted that he had the authority to command. BackOnce expressed that he really didn't care, and told him that he's misunderstanding something, but the one who loses out on that is him. BackOnce told him again if he wants his protection, he should get on his knees and beg for it. Youngmin felt pressured to make a choice as the other players were closing in. He looked at BackOnce and dropped to his knees. He promised him that he will do everything he says and begged him to take him as his underling. BackOnce stared at him while he begged. Deep inside him, BackOnce had seen the scene so many times he's sick of it. However, unlike Jungsik, he knew Youngmin could be useful. He accepted the deal, and Youngmin enthusiastically thanked him. BackOnce told him to stop and told him that he doesn't want to see his pitiful self anymore. Youngmin understood. BackOnce walks past the kneeling man to face the players who are after him. Since the players witnessed the deal, the players talked among themselves, and one player suggested for them to attack all at once. The scared player voiced out that BackOnce can take on many opponents at the same time. He expressed that they have no chance against that kind of monster. BackOnce told them that he will help them decide. He gave them two choices. They can either give up on being the representative and go back to hunting the monsters, or die at his hand. He pointed his scythe at them. He told them that if possible, he'd recommend the first option. But the latter one is fine for him as well, because he will no longer view anyone who wields a sword against him as a human. The players collectively swallowed nervously in fear. A lot of the players choose out. Youngmin was impressed. Everyone backed off because of BackOnce. Youngmin was smiling as he thought BackOnce was a fearsome foe, but a reliable ally. Ryumin observed his surroundings and concluded that the round was slowly coming to an end. Players are still fighting the gnolls, but they'll soon clear the fifth wave. However, he thought that it would be upsetting to end things that way. He is called Youngmin. Youngmin answered him enthusiastically. BackOnce told Youngmin to do what he promised. Youngmin confidently told him to give him a command. BackOnce told him to use all 10 of his command of authority and break the relic. Youngmin was baffled. He knew that if the relic breaks, they would all receive a massive penalty. His expression changed from enthusiasm to anger. He wondered why would BackOnce wanted that, and he's worried that if he used all his command, he won't be able to turn Aren into his slave. He politely asked BackOnce why. BackOnce told him to shut up and do what he's told. He tried to negotiate and asked if he could only use 9 out of the 10 commands. BackOnce told him that he won't repeat what he said, and if doesn't want to die, he should decide fast. Youngmin told him that he will do it. BackOnce informed him that he will instruct him on who to use his authority of command on. BackOnce recited the names Shim Sungyu, Small Chili Pepper, Don't Bother Me, Spring, Summer, Autumn. He instructed Youngmin to order those 10 people to break the relic. Youngmin was surprised. All of his friends are on the list. He wondered if BackOnce did that on purpose. His friends told him not to do it. He apologized to them and shrugged. He explained that it's BackOnce's orders and asked them to understand. Yongmin recited the names that Black Scythe told him and ordered them to break the relic. All the players received a notification that the relic is being attacked. They were all surprised, and when they turned to see what was happening, there were 10 people hitting the relic. They yelled at them to stop what they're doing. They hurriedly moved towards the relic to stop those 10 players. They were all worried that the relic would break and they would all receive a penalty. A player tried to drag one of the players who was hitting the relic, while another one yelled and commanded to stop them. Another player suggested killing them. The relic had cracks on it, and instantly it completely shattered. The notification window informed everyone that the relic has been broken. The main quest has failed. As a penalty for failing, for 30 minutes, the proxy of divine retribution will be summoned. The players don't have any idea on what that is. Another screen showed up instructing them to survive against proxy divine retribution. Until the time runs out, the round will not end. They wondered if it's something like a boss. A notification window appeared indicating hidden subquest. Ryumin smiled. The round 3 subquest is to survive against the proxy divine retribution. The reward is 3,000 gold, and the countdown has begun. The players' attitude seemed to change when they saw the reward. The quest reward is 2,000 gold, but if they finish the subquest, they will get 3,000 gold, which the majority of them thinks that it's more profitable. Black Scythe expected this, which is why he asked Yongmin to break the relic, but he didn't want to break the relic himself. The notification screen appeared to announce that it has confirmed that the relic broke because of the players who attacked it. Those 10 players will be given a penalty. The stats of those players will fall to 50% permanently. The players couldn't accept it since they just did what they're told to do. They directed their anger at Yongmin. Yongmin stuttered in saying sorry to them. He explained that no one knew about the penalty. Another notification screen appeared, and it showed that the one responsible for not being able to protect the relic is the region representative, who will also be penalized, and his stats permanently decreased to 50%. He was so angry that he kicked the wall while screaming and cursing loudly. Ryumin watched them. He knew permanent stat drops are directly correlated to survival, which makes it fatal. He decided to get ready to catch the agent of divine punishment. He opened the shop to purchase normal items with extra gold. He chose the assassin's hood, which is a normal helmet used by an assassin. It will reek blood if not washed. It gives 20 defense and plus 3 agility. He also bought astute long boots, which is a pair of black, clingy long boots. It looks stuffy, but it's surprisingly comfortable to wear. It has 15 defenses and plus 2 on agility and plus 5% on speed. He knew that even the slightest boost in stats would make the subquest easier. He proceeded to do a combination. He placed an item and combined it with a mana stone. The combination was successful. It is called the Skull Bone Necklace, which adds 1 in all stats. Ryumin planned to insert 1 mana stone on each piece of equipment, and he got another successful combination. The outcome was a seasoned hunter's leather armor, which adds 1 damage reduction. He made another combination called Grim Reaper's Scythe. This adds 2 on strength. He knew that a lowest grade mana stone won't be much help to him, but he thought it's better than nothing. The players were gathered in the center of the village. They felt an ominous presence and wondered if it's the start. They were getting nervous. One player encouraged everyone to hold on until the end of the 30 minutes. Another player suggested that I keep running away to survive. Ryumin countered them in his mind. He knew it wouldn't be easy to run from their opponent. In his last life, around 500 out of 2,700 survived. Simply trying to survive is difficult. Originally, the agent of divine punishment is a monster who can barely be caught up to by putting 5 level 40 players against it. But Ryumin planned to receive a huge reward by killing it. The dark sky shattered, and a yellow light escaped through the crease. Ryumin has the title he acquired from killing the angel named Betrayal. The title is First Ever Angel Slayer, and it doubles one's stats when fighting divine types. and the agent of divine punishment is a divine type. Everyone looked at the sky as the agent of divine punishment descended. Majority of the players thought it would be easy, and they could simply run away from it to survive. Youngmin expressed that he got scared earlier, but now that he saw the enemy, it seemed like he became lax. The diviner enemy's staff has a circular end with a bell in the middle. It took a few steps. It raised its staff, and it hit the ground with an impact. And instantly, a light that seemed like a barrier appeared. The light extended to a portion of the village, and notification showed that the agent of divine punishment had casted a restriction field. The players touched the barrier. And another notification displayed that they won't be able to exit the area unless the caster disarms it. The players panicked now that they can't leave. Another notification showed that the stats of the players inside the field have dropped by 50%. The players hit the barrier in an attempt to get out. Ryumin had observed that almost 300 people were caught inside the barrier. It was a shame, but he knew that he wouldn't be able to save those 300 people. The divine enemy spread its angel wings, and from its wings it created several needle-like blades that covered the sky. Ryumin knew it was the cue to start. Instantly, the angel released the blades to the direction of the players. The players tried to run away, but a lot of them were injured from it. Some groaned in pain. Some complained that it's impossible to dodge since it's hard to follow with the naked eye. The angel released more blades, and it rained down on the people inside the restriction field. After being locked in there, dodging the arrows of light is nearly impossible. On the other hand, you can simply say that if you successfully dodge those, then it's not a big deal. Ryumin ran and seized the opportunity while everyone was still distracted. As he expected, while the enemy is hunting the humans, it's not paying attention to its backside. He planned to ambush the divine enemy as soon as the barrier was lifted. The barrier is slowly dissipating, and Ryumin knows it's the perfect chance. He didn't worry that the enemy would turn around since the enemy doesn't have ears. He ran until he was 5 meters away from the enemy. He activated the insignia of death as he plans to land a fatal blow for the first attack. The divine enemy sensed him, but it was already too late. Ryumin's scythe landed on the enemy's face. The divine enemy screamed loudly. The scythe landed perfectly as it hit the enemy right into the eye. Ryumin kept a distance from the divine enemy. Because of the insignia of death, the enemy's health was reduced to 60%. Ryumin had observed that just one attack cuts its stamina by 40%, so it wasn't so bad. He ran away thinking that the enemy would be planning to cast a restriction field to find him. And he was right. The agent of divine punishment has casted a restriction field. It's all according to Ryumin's plan. He knew that as soon as it realized that it didn't catch him inside the restriction field, it would immediately lift its field. He saw an opening and ran towards the agent of divine punishment. He plans to take the other eye. He jumped to hit it in the eye, and the agent of divine punishment screamed loudly. It continued screaming while Ryumin landed safely on the ground. The agent of divine punishment casted the restriction field again, and the stats of the players inside were reduced to 50%. Ryumin was caught inside, but he didn't care. Without its eyes, Ryumin described it as a glorified sandbag. It continued to scream while it launched several arrows. It looked like it was planning to kill Ryumin by shooting arrows of light in all directions, since it can't see anything. He activated his Knight of Death and stood behind the agent of divine punishment. Darkness covered its arrows, and the agent of divine punishment seemed to be confused. Ryumin knew that the light cannot overcome darkness, as it was how the other world is programmed. From its backside, he leaped into the air. Wearing a serious expression as he lifts his scythe, he declared that he will end it now.